Hey, crazy cats and kittens. It's the specialist team from Classic Beverage Company. Welcome to our weekly extra special happy hour. This week's theme, because it's Earth Day, is Earth Things. So we've got a lot of organic kicking around. We've got a lot of cool stuff today. Who wants to go first? Who's really digging what they're doing?
I want to go first.
Oh yeah, Katrina first.
Yeah, I want to
Take it away.
Get it.
I'm excited. All right, so with our Earth theme, you know, it's also Natural Wine Week. So I wanted to pick a sake that kind of worked for both. So I went with Nabashoten Minato. This is one of my favorite sakes. I know I say that a lot. But it's also one of the sakes that I get the most irritated about, because you can see on the label here, down here at the bottom, where it's got the name, it says Minato Harbor. So Minato is the word for harbor. So people ask me about this sake a bunch and they say, oh my gosh, I love that Minato Harbor. And they're basically telling me how sweet that ATM machine is. They're saying harbor, harbor. So today I'm drinking some Harbor. So this
Better
is
than drinking Arbor Mist.
It is not that.
Who doesn't love a good ATM machine, you know?
Amen.
So Nabashoten, this brewery, is in Akita, and I talk a lot about Akita because we've got some really strong sakes from this part of Japan. And Akita to sake is like Bordeaux to wine, so it's really traditional. This is really far north from a tiny little harbor town, and it is like an unadulterated, non-messed with sake. It's made with rice from the area, water from a local river that's really soft, and it is not pasteurized, it's not filtered, it's not watered down. So what you have here is about as natural as sake can get. It's also brewed with a method called yamahai, and we could talk about it for a while, but basically yamahai means that you throw all of your ingredients in and you just let it do its thing. So you don't get the big stick like in Kimoto and break the mountain, that yama oroshi that I was talking about the other day. Yamahai actually kind of comes from that word. So yama oroshi, the breaking of the mountain, has a hyphen to it that is haishi, yama oroshi haishi, which means stop yama oroshi. And the stopping of the breaking of the mountain is this kind of hands-off style. So it winds up being like fresh squeezed sake. This is like right what comes out of the tank. And this is the little tank, little miniature of what it's brewed in. So flavor-wise, this is really, really high alcohol. It can be up to 22%. And it's got some sugar in it. So it's kind of sweet. It's kind of burny. It's kind of soft. It's kind of heavy. It's kind of like melted jelly bean texture. But that 22% will kind of sneak up behind you.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I like them hot and heavy for sure.
It is hot and heavy, yeah, and it's really interesting, and it's like mushroomy. It's richer more than it's floral. It's perfect for like barbecuing, grilling out, grilled veg, grilled meats.
Katrina, when we were talking last week about doing something for Earth Day, you mentioned that like pretty much all sake would be appropriate for like an Earth Day theme. Can you maybe expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. Sake doesn't have a lot of adulteration that can happen to it. Really, the worst thing that can happen is the way that the majority of sakes are made, which is to have a little bit of enzyme put into the tank to kind of kickstart the reaction to get the yeast to consume the sugar so that we can get that alcohol byproduct. But if the worst thing that you're doing is putting a little extra enzyme in there, that's not really the end of the world. It's always going to be rice. It's always going to be water that's from a good source. It's always going to be the koji, which is, you know, like kind of a mold, and the yeast. And the yeast is a choice, you know, but it's a natural choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's like a super all-natural product, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's why your body metabolizes it so easily and so well. I've been told that sake metabolizes the most similarly to agave spirits as far as the way your body breaks it down. So it's like a little more natural to begin with and a little easier for your body to deal with.
Cool.
It can only be made so efficiently.
What was that?
I said it can only be made so efficiently, right?
Yeah, that's true. Ryan, what are you drinking?
Who, me? I'm drinking liquid sunshine, that's what.
Yeah.
I'm drinking a cocktail that I made with a couple of organic producers that we work with. The first is a tequila. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've had tequila like every episode. We'll get weird with some mezcal on one of my spirit specialist things. We'll get super nerdy. This is a project by Haas Brothers. A gentleman called Jake Lustig is the importer. This is made at El Refugio in El Arenal. Did you see the cat just scamper up
Yeah. What's that? Is that a raccoon?
No,
That was a cat.
that's Vaughn. That's our little MVP, Vaughn. That was a cat.
Cute.
This is Square One Bergamot, made by Allison Evanow in Idaho, out of organic rye. And she doesn't add flavors. She actually macerates with whole fruits and herbs and spices, and then redistills, which is not how most vodka flavors are made. It has a really beautiful, rich citrus flavor. And then for a little levity, I put in some lemon juice. I made a banana syrup, which is super easy. If you just take simple syrup while it's still warm and you put a banana peel in it, let it cool, and then take the banana peel out, you get this really cool banana aroma that's a lot more like estery than it is necessarily like circus peanuts, like banana extract, whatever. I'm gonna lose this lemon. Come on. And then a little ginger. This is infused bitters. It's just ginger and alcohol, which kind of perks it up, shaken, and then poured into a chilled glass. It's so tasty. It's amazing. It's liquid
That
sunshine.
sounds delicious.
It definitely sounds like sunshine, and it sounds like
it's so good.
very smashable on an afternoon like this.
Oh,
But dangerous because it's like all booze.
Smash Brothers. I've gone from Smash Brothers to Super Smash Brothers. It's great.
I was thinking Smash Mouth in my head. And now that talks stuck in my head all day.
Well, I get knocked down.
And
again.
Yeah. Karen, what are you drinking?
What am I drinking? I have not had this wine before. I was really excited to try it. This is a producer called Anima Negra, and this is their Kibia white blend. So something super cool and not what you find very often. In the vein of what Katrina mentioned, being that it's Natural Wine Week, I wanted to pick a natural producer or somebody that is using as little manipulation, as few chemicals as possible, indigenous yeast in the fermentation, and then not fining or filtering. So this is what I selected. Super excited about it. It was formed by two friends in '94 on the southeast part of Majorca. I think that's how it's pronounced, and forgive my pronunciations here. And they're called Per Obrador and Miguel Angel Corda. And Per is the heir to this large dairy farm in this area. And he actually left school in the city to come back and help his family with this farm, and just started experimenting, making wine in some of the empty milk tanks, essentially. And once he got his friend on board, they actually split the estate to be half a dairy farm and half a winery. And they now have a little over 100 parcels of up to 80-year-old vines, just using indigenous grapes from the island. So a lot of them I had never heard of before. I wouldn't be surprised if most people hadn't heard of them, but really, really neat. So there are a lot of sheep and cattle and goats on the property, and they use those animals to kind of plow in between the vines for the grapes as well. So it's kind of that whole closed system, biodynamic farming philosophy, holistic farming philosophy. So what we have here is the kibia, which I read means a worry-free state of mind, but Katrina has informed me that it is named after kind of a jokester type friend of the family. Katrina, will you enlighten me?
I'm gonna get in trouble for this. The story that I was told about this wine is that there's a fellow that lives on the island that is a bit of a wild card, and he enjoys foraging wild mushrooms for his entertainment, his personal entertainment. And the winemakers, that when the two guys made this wine, they thought, wow, this is really like trippy Blanc de Noir, and it reminded them of Kibia, so they named it after him.
I love it. It just makes the wine taste even better to me to know.
How many mushrooms do you have to eat in order to get a nickname?
A lot.
I
A
see
lot of mushrooms.
one or two maybe.
Yeah, that's like more than me and Stuart and my brother combined, probably.
So it uses
Hi, Scott.
60% of the grape varietal Caillet, which is Callet. It's actually a red grape that's macerated for 2 to 3 hours before being pressed off the skins. And then it's about 30% Premsal, Permsal, which adds a little bit more roundness. And the rest is a grape called Giro Ros, like Giro space ROS, which adds kind of this acidic backbone. So a lot of white peach on this for me, pear, a little sea brine, probably from the Mediterranean influence, little jasmine. I think this would be great with like mussels or scallops, really anything from the ocean.
I love how textural that wine is, because it's so pretty. You know, you get the brine on the nose and the flowers, and then it's like a little bit oily in the mouth.
It is. It kind of has that like viscous olive oil texture to it. Not to the full extent of olive oil, but it does have a little bit of that oily viscosity.
Cool.
Mm.
Yeah, sounds like
making me
a good wine.
thirsty.
It's good. Alicia, tell us about what you're drinking.
What are you doing down there? Let's see it.
I had a very, very easy choice to make for the Earth Day theme. So we have one brewery in our portfolio that is 100% organic. So obviously that was a very easy choice to make out of our whole portfolio. So this is Peak Organic Brewing. They are a brewery based out of Portland, Maine. And they have been around for about 12 years. Really cool thing about these guys is that they kind of started an organic beer ingredient farming movement like all along the East Coast. The owner, John, just had this like passion for making really like beer that's just really good for you. And years ago, nobody was making organic beer ingredients. So he was like, you know what? I'm going to sit out and do it myself. So he got in touch with a lot of farmers who were friends of his and kind of talked to them about this this project that he wanted to undertake. And now Peak Brewing is to a point where they're the largest distributed organic brewery in the country. So he's helped grow organic farming on the East Coast, and he's supporting a ton of families with his projects, and just really cool products. They taste really awesome. The quality is, in my opinion, right up there with pretty much every other like popular beer in the market. They're definitely not what's the word I'm looking for? They're not sacrificing like flavor and quality of the beer just to make organic ingredients. Like they're doing everything right. And they're also able to keep costs down a little bit. So the price of these beers are not going to be that kind of sticker shock that you get with a lot of other organic beers. They're like pretty much right in line with everything else in the market. So they're just doing like everything right. The owners are awesome people. Everyone who works there is amazing. And obviously Earth Day is a really huge day for them. So I did want to share with you guys that they're doing a contest on Instagram. So if you follow them on Instagram, they're just Peak Brewing is their handle, and they're doing an Earth Week challenge. And they announced the winner this coming Saturday, the 25th. Is that what it is? 27th, whatever. So basically you just post a picture of yourself making a positive impact on the planet. Follow Peak Brewing and tag them in your post, and then use the hashtag Peak Earth Week. And if your photo gets chosen, then they will donate $500 to your favorite Earth Day centered charity. And I think they send you like a t-shirt and a hat and stuff like that too, so you get a little bit of swag. But really cool contest. Obviously Earth Day is huge for these guys. They're purposely brewing with organic ingredients to make the planet a better place. There are 0 chemicals in the plants that they're using. There was a study that came out not too long ago that USA Today did, and it was not, Peak had no idea that they were even doing it. They were pretty surprised when the study came out, but they did this study where they tested for basically the main ingredient in weed killer in different beers that people were drinking, like Miller Lite and Sam Adams, and I think it was probably like 20 different brands. And Peak Brewing is the only beer that came up with absolutely 0 traces of that weed killer ingredient. So they're not just talk. So the beer that I'm drinking, Fresh Cut, is probably my favorite beer from them. It's a really low ABV light Pilsner. Show you the color. And it's dry house pretty early. So it's like super kind of like cut grass and like a little bit earthy. A lot of Chinook hops in that, so a little like citrusy and kind of piney and stuff too. It's just really easy to drink, and I could probably have 10 of them in a row and like never get tired of it, because the hop character is just like, it's pretty complex and it just keeps you excited. But it's also low ABV, so you can drink a lot of it. Yeah, and that's like my ideal beer, is like something with hop character that's not going to wreck your palate, but also low ABV, so you can drink a lot of them.
Sounds delicious.
So great.
Yeah.
I need to start a new Instagram account of me just picking up my dog's poops and then joining that contest.
Yeah.
Right? Keeping all that poop off the streets. Right?
That's the second time today we've talked about dog poop.
Whoops.
I don't know what you're talking about. Actually, you should post your dog for cleaning up all the trash.
Seriously. My dog
Oh, dear.
trash can the other day, so now his poops are weird.
Never a fun time. Never a fun time.
I'm sure I'm not the only one who's experienced stuff like that.
We should probably let all the people who are going to watch us go, but I don't mind hanging out if you want to.
Yeah, everyone, thanks for joining us. Happy Earth Week.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned for next week's episode, which we will decide here soon what the theme will be.
Yeah, if you have any ideas for themes, or you want to ask us any questions, just hit up Classic Bevco or any of us individually. Our Instagram handles are by our names, as we've been talking. Other than that, it's great to see y'all. I miss your faces. I'm glad I get to see them.
Thanks for tuning in.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy Earth Day.